I'm doing a small update because it's important that people understand that when you are disabled, you still have to do stuff, but that doesn't stop you from being disabled. So I spent a couple of hours today using my brain and taking down a fence in a way that was the least detrimental it could be on my body. Okay, because I've got fibromyalgia and I've got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Okay, a little bit of backstory: fibromyalgia, widespread pain. Anything can set it off. It's there all the time, but you can have flares and it can get really bad. It's the equivalence of having a faulty alarm and it just going off because there was a breeze, because you put on a coat, because you woke up. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is, for me, the best way to explain it is too much collagen. Everyone hypes up about collagen being this fantastic thing and it keeps you youthful. Well, what happens is when you have collagen, it makes your skin more elastic. That's why women tend to chase collagen, because it makes your skin bounce back. It stops you from looking wrinkly. With Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, you can have either or. So you can look older than you are, like drastically older, or you can look drastically younger. I will always look like a fetus. But the downside to having too much collagen: when you are too elastic, you are hypermobile. And what that means is your ligaments and your tendons stretch further than they should do. And that's when you get nerves trapped in between joints. You can also snap ligaments and tendons, which are a lot harder to fix than broken bones. So believe it or not, it's easier to fix a bone than it is a muscle. Once the muscle's ruined, it's ruined basically. So muscles is strands. If it snaps, it forms into this hard knot, but it's weak either side. So yes, it's hard on that knot, but it's weaker on either side now. So now you've got 2 points where it's weak. Anyway, you have sciatica, you have dislocations, snap ligaments. You do get broken bones. I've never had a broken bone in my life till my ligament snapped and it pulled my bone away. Why am I going on about this? Because it's important that you understand the background. Ehlers-Danlos means my muscles are a bit too elastic, which means they don't have the power sometimes. I say sometimes, it totally depends on weather as well. So I have to religiously watch humidity and air pressure. Your muscles are weak and your heart is a muscle, and you need the muscle to pump your blood around your body. That's a problem for somebody who's got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It can branch off into POTS and lots of other things. But for me, it's the fainting and getting very lightheaded. It's not, they're technically saying it's not POTS yet, is what they're saying. But you also get like poor circulation because of that, and that leads to things like Raynaud's. I've got a history of working with machinery as well, which doesn't help. If you're working with power tools, you can absolutely 100% put your circulation up. So why am I talking about all this? So when I dismantled the shed, I used my brain. So one panel is already falling apart. That's the one I'm going to go for, and it was very easy to dismantle because it was just rotted. So I was able to pull it away. The next thing for me to do was to pull off either the door side or the opposite side to the door, one of the side pieces basically. Why am I doing that? Because I need the roof to collapse down at an angle. because that's going to be safer and it's going to fall towards me rather than my neighbour's house. Luckily enough, the panel that I pulled out was the door one, and the reason why I did that is because I took the door off, which means it's already lighter weight because it's got a hole in it. So I did that one first. Brain. You use your brain. When you're disabled, you find other ways. So I moved it and got it out the way, and the roof did tip, which was great. And I was able to, basically, the roof leaned on its own the way I wanted it to, and I was able to basically lean on it with my weight and pop it off the remaining 2 walls. That panel was the heaviest out of all of them, because of all of the wet felt on top and rubber. So I stripped it all first, and that meant using my hands a lot. And then I had to saw the supports to break it up into 3 pieces because I couldn't move it. It was too heavy. The last 2 panels were just screwed in place, so I just unscrewed them. The side panel I was able to move semi-easily. Some of the screws wouldn't come out, so it was a bit difficult. I had to do it upside down at a weird angle. But the back panel and the floor, all I did was just lift them up and shuffle them along my fence lining because I couldn't do it. So that's how I did it. Right, as a 5'2" disabled person on my own that needs to dismantle a shed. That's what I did. Okay. And there wasn't too much involved. You know, I didn't have to I didn't have to wage war against the shed. Right. But me doing those couple of hours and then doing the cleanup afterwards, all I've done is just flat packed it basically. I haven't broken anything up or anything like that. I've just flat packed it and lent things up and just cleaned up a bit. Me doing that has resulted in partial dislocations again in my left shoulder, and it's been happening in and out since I've been doing this door, but it's been exponentially worse since I did the shed. So with dislocations, you have to keep moving them to get the trap nerve out. Yeah, you have to keep moving it, and it's very painful. The problem is when you manage to get it out, the whole thing's extremely overly stretched, and you are a stretched person already. So what that means is, it is at that point, once it's out, you have to stop. But I don't have the luxury of stopping. I've got to be able to do my stuff. The reason why you stop is to allow everything to contract, so the nerve doesn't slip back in, and you deal with a partial dislocation and a trapped nerve again. When you are a normal person, you stop what you're doing, you let it contract, you rest your arm, you have it in a sling. I don't have that luxury. I was in the middle of a job. Not only that, my muscles will never contract. They're always going to remain stretchy. So I have consistently had partial dislocations the whole time I've been doing this door and the shed and tidying up with a trapped nerve, and it's really painful, and it keeps rattling and bouncing in and out, and it's becoming difficult to hold things in that hand and lift things because I don't have the strength behind it because it's painful. I'm left-handed, which makes this worse because I need it. I say I'm left-handed, I'm ambidextrous. I just predominantly choose to use my left more. That originated out of spite because a year 5 teacher was being a bastard. I didn't like the fact that we're using both hands, so I picked the left on purpose to piss her off. But what I'm getting at is, I've got a really bad pain in my left shoulder. Like, it's painful. It's up my neck. It's hurting me to move my neck. I can't lift things. Yeah, so I didn't come out of this successfully, freely, undamaged. Yeah, I'm also dealing with something called Raynaud's. Some people call it Raynaud's. It is extremely painful. It depends. You can have it where your hands are just cold and the circulation's not pumping at all, and it just, your circulation just won't turn on in one of your hands or one of your fingers or a couple of your fingers, but the rest are fine and your other hand is fine. The other part of Raynaud's is extremely painful swelling, and it's numb. It feels numb, but it's painful, numbing. And the reason why I stopped doing manual work in the first place is because it got that bad I couldn't use my hands anymore. So I had to stop doing warehouse jobs, which really upset me because I loved it. And I also get it in my legs. I get it in the tops of my legs. Don't have it in my legs at the moment. It's in my hands, and it's really painful. And I am trying my best to stay off my strong tablets for a bit because I've been on them a lot. I've not been on strong doses, but I've been on them a lot, and as we know, it doesn't take a lot to get addicted. So I'm being really careful. I've talked previously about weaning myself off tramadol. Worst pain of my life. I would never wish that on anybody, and I don't really want to go through that again. So I'm trying to be careful, but I'm at the point where I do need to sleep. I do need to do a tip run. My mum's going to be helping me, but my mum's older than me. She's had a dislocation herself. It was with her elbow. She's also got ailments. Do you know what I mean? Like, got to be careful. So I can't just keep relying on my mum. We're both adults, you know, but also I don't have money to pay somebody else, and there is no other support. We don't have men in the family, you know, that are able to do these things. So right now my hands are that painful. I'm on the verge of just lying here crying because I can't get it to stop. And so I'm going to go take a strong tablet, is what I'm going to do. Which I'm a bit upset about. So I don't like taking them to sleep, but it means I'll get 4 hours of sleep, which is better than none when you've got stuff to do. And then I would just have to not do anything for the next, I don't even know, whenever it stops. Which is frustrating because I've got stuff to do. And it means I'm going to have to rely on Mum more. Which I don't like doing because she's got her own stuff and needs to be helping with. I'm struggling to hold my phone. I've not got a grasp of my phone. I've got my phone propped on my mattress with like it resting on my palm. I'm not grabbing it or anything because my hands are hurting that bad. So I've not come out of this scot-free, you know, like sometimes in life you have to do things despite being disabled and reap the consequences of that and know that that's going to happen and it's not going to be nice and it makes you miserable, but you still have to do it. It gets harder when other people expect you to do things but they don't feel the consequences of it. You do. They expect you to push yourself and push your body to do things it can't do, and they will never feel the consequences of what they're doing to you because it's going to happen to you, not them. And they don't care. They don't give a fuck. When I make myself do stuff, it's because I have to. Yeah, because my shed's falling down and I don't want it to fall on the neighbours. because my doors fell off and I need a door. When other people try to make me do stuff, it's not mandatory. It's not necessary. There's other ways around it. They often want me to do things longer than I need to be doing it. And that makes things very difficult, because that makes me consistently poorly. And then I end up bedridden, and then I'm fucked. And then I don't have a house or a home or money or a job or anything. But they don't understand any of that, or they don't care. So the point of this video is just to show, yes, I can do things. I will make myself. I've got my pain tolerance is more than most, and I know that, and I'm very good at masking because I'm autistic, and I don't show that I am in pain. I just do it, and then the pain is after, and afterwards is when I do the crying. Basically, like in a war, you would be fighting for your life. You haven't got time to sit there and cry. You've got to get stuff done. You know, you feel when someone passes away and you need to sort all the funeral and stuff, you don't have time to sit and cry. You've got to sort all the paperwork and the assets, and people do all the phone calls and stuff. You haven't got time to, stuff's got to get done, you know. And that's how I kind of address things. That's not something you can keep up long term though. You know, I've been going quite hard for the past couple of days trying to get this all fixed, and I didn't think it was going to last this long. And now I'm at the point where I'm being forced to stop because I've pushed too much. And things aren't done. But I've still got to stop anyway. And I've got no choice because my body said so. But if this was somebody else telling me, and I've been pushing hard for days, and then suddenly I stopped, they don't understand why I'm stopping. They don't care that this is hurting me. They just see, well, you did it for these past couple of days. Why aren't you doing it now? Well, you just don't want to. I would love to put those people in very tight suits of armour and get them to do stuff for days consecutively, day and night, sleeping them, eating them, everything, bathing them, and try and keep that up consistently, and then get shoved down a hill really fast and roll down a hill while they're in that suit of armour so that they get battered about a bit, get to the bottom, and then sit there and have somebody say to them, why aren't you doing anything? You've been doing it these past couple of days. Come on, get up. Come on. Come and do stuff. It's the equivalence of telling somebody who's just been in a car crash to get up and make dinner, because they're the ones that always make dinner. It's not how that works, is it? You don't do that. Yes, I've done some stuff. No, I didn't do it fast enough. There are still things that need to be done. But my body has told me time out, and it's gone too far for too long. And now I've got no choice to do things that I don't want to do to try and stop this pain, to make sure I sleep, just to get this last little bit done tomorrow. And then I've just got to wait this out and wait for it to go. That means I can't paint, I can't crochet, I can't draw, I can't clean, I can't garden, I can't write, type, It'll be hard to wash my hair. And this is why I look after myself very, very well, because I do not like being in that position where I am trapped in my own body. So I try very hard to regulate everything I do. Sometimes it's impossible. It's even worse when someone's bullying you and forcing you and not listening to what they're doing to you. So yeah, that's the realities. Yes, I did those jobs, but that's the reality. This is where I'm at now. This is the consequence of the success of completing some of a job. This is where I'm at. Just thought I'd put that on there because I don't want people thinking that, you know, well, how can she be disabled? She can't possibly be disabled. She must be making it up. She's just done all these things. Everything comes at a cost. Everything comes at a cost. If a person didn't have a wheelchair, they would still try and climb a hill. They'd drag themselves. But it would be at a cost. They'd be shattered. They would be slow. They might have to stop often. They're going to end up with cuts and bruises. And that's why you give them a wheelchair and a ramp to help them. And that's what reasonable adjustments are all about. At home, I give myself my reasonable adjustments as much as possible because I know what's good for me. That's much more difficult for people to get people to understand when they're in charge of me. This is one of those situations where there was no reasonable adjustment for this. I just had to do it. And now I'm going to be fucked for the next, I don't know, week. I don't know. Hopefully not long. I don't like being a vegetable confined to my bed and not being able to do stuff. I won't even be able to hold a book. Fun. You know, there you go. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now and I'm going to go get some tablets.